Have you ever had a client?
People do not say that.
No way, dude.
I'm really confused.
This is probably the least accurate thing we've seen on the show so far.
Yeah.
Oh god. Why?
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Em.
And I'm Lloyd.
And we're two former corporate lawyers based in Hong Kong.
Today, we're back to react to more episodes of Netflix's hit show Partner Track. And this week, we actually have a double episode because we were kind of left on a cliffhanger and we wanted to watch more.
So without further ado, let's get right into it.
I can't wear it to the office. Ellen Chu Sanderson was on track to make partner her 6th year, but then she showed up with an engagement ring and...
Now she's...
of counsel.
What is wrong with that?
It's not partner.
It sounds apocryphal or coincidental.
Call me superstitious.
One thing maybe worth mentioning here actually is that I think there's a trend nowadays where firms are moving away from this idea of not wanting to promote people if they're wanting to start a family. I think it might have been that way several years ago. You know, I think a lot of industries were kind of like that. I mean, definitely at my firm, it sort of felt like there were a lot of partners that were made up that were women with families, which I thought was like a nice move. I don't think it actually really impacts all that much. I mean, I think it's just the suggestion that people don't work as hard because they have a family, but in reality, a lot of people do both.
Yeah, I mean, not that I think this issue doesn't exist in some other industries as well, but I think in our experience at law firms, it's less of an issue.
Yeah.
I also keep in mind that the author of the book, Partner Track, was a lawyer a couple decades ago, I think.
Right.
So I think that will speak to her experience as a woman then.
Yeah.
Rachel is your nearest and dearest. Can't you just break the ice?
They're both just so mad at me. And now my trusty counsel isn't around while my life is going off a cliff.
Meeting just got added to your schedule. Litigation got staffed in the St. Clair case and needs to be briefed before the client arrives.
Which litigator?
Okay, people don't walk around with like manila envelopes and like it's not.
Yeah.
I just realized like how ludicrous that is. Like everyone just kind of, you take your laptop or you take like a piece of paper if you have it, or like a notepad, but you're not. People don't really print out briefs. It takes a lot of time to put together like a handover note or something that summarizes the case. So usually people just do it verbally and just give people background and then send an email afterwards. I just realized that.
Yeah, again, I mean, where are the laptops? I think that in real life, if people are sitting down or like meeting together to discuss something, both sides would bring their laptop.
We offered Victoria's husband the mid-price hotel chain for the divorce settlement, but he refused. Victoria St. Clair, Rachel Friedman, Rachel, Victoria St. Clair. I'll leave you to it. You're in great hands. He wants the St. Clair Plaza.
How charmingly predictable.
I don't work the law. I work the man. So, why don't you tell me about him?
Anyway, Alistair had all the potential in the world to start his own empire. But he used his brilliant mind to look for the quick quid. Hence the gambling. Even when he gambles, he's always after the shortcut. Card counting, counterfeit chips.
I can work with that.
I'm confused. Is Rachel now the family lawyer? Generally speaking, if you are a litigator who doesn't normally practice family law, you will not suddenly be given a divorce case because family law is really different from other types of litigation.
Yeah. So this doesn't really make sense, right? Because technically they brought on, what's the name of the firm again? Parsons Valentine?
Yeah.
Parsons Valentine. So they brought on Parsons Valentine specifically to do the spin-off, right? And then he rejected that offer, but that should be something for the family lawyers to deal with.
Yeah,
not...
she has separate family lawyers, so has she fired them? I'm really confused. Something just really does not make sense here.
No, this doesn't make this doesn't make sense. Wait. Hold on. Ingrid's holding her laptop, her iPad upside down. Come on, man. That's just sloppy details.
Ingrid. Murphy.
Got a whale coming in, guys. Need my Bonnie and Clyde.
He's sitting like that.
Oh my
You've been Clyde?
Cleo Bajaj, heiress to a real estate empire in India. She runs Intersection Principal Investment, a big private equity fund. I get the sense they are sitting on a big pile of cash, and they are on the hunt.
Oh, come on,
We
dude.
run
This
the
is
best
way
of
too
our
cringe.
job.
He's doing the 10. He's doing the 10.
Roberta emailed you the file. She'll be here in an hour.
Welcome to Parsons Valentine and Hunt. I do hope you've made yourselves at home.
I'm Ingrid Young. This is Jeff Murphy. We're senior associates in Parsons' robust M&A department.
Cleo Bajaj. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
These are my partners, Lacey Costa
Hi.
Hi.
and Nella Scott.
So, here at Parsons Valentine, we strive to provide bespoke, full-service representation to all our clients.
Globally, 70 to 90% of M&A deals don't go through. Our New York office alone has successfully completed over 300 deals in the past 2 years.
300 out of how many?
342.
You've closed 87% of your deals.
The highest push-through rate in the country.
So I think something worth mentioning here is that I think a lot of emphasis is placed on lawyers closing deals, but in reality, it's not so much based on whether the lawyers are doing their job as to whether or not an M&A deal goes through. I think there is some contribution to that, and we definitely have seen lawyers that are way too aggressive or lawyers that maybe are a bit too passive. Ultimately, I think it comes down to whether or not the parties can commercially agree on the terms of the transaction, and that'll be whether or not the deal makes it through. It's true that a lot of deals don't make it, but that has little to do with lawyers compared to what they sort of represent in the show. Also worth mentioning, I feel like a partner would be here. I feel like Marty would be
That was
here
also
for
my
this.
first thought. If it's such like a big deal, if I were the client, I'd be like, where are the partners?
Yeah.
Or do you not think like I am worth your time?
Yeah. And this is a big thing now where, even on just average deals, right? I think clients expect more partner involvement in this day and age. And I think especially with like WhatsApp and emails and everything, it's sort of a thing where if you're an associate talking to the client and the partner is nowhere to be found, I think the clients sometimes get a bit antsy about that. So partners do kind of need to give a lot of FaceTime, a lot of time on WhatsApp or, through text messages and stuff, emails. It's really, yeah.
I think especially if it's a big firm and the fees are expensive, then clients don't feel like they're being respected or they feel like they're being neglected if partners aren't attending to them.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, Rachel Friedman.
Elliot Croft.
Alistair Sinclair.
Pleasure.
Is Victoria coming?
Oh, I'm sorry. She's unavailable.
Ain't that the truth?
Shall we get started?
They've been together for 25 years. If you insult us again, we'll drag this out and bleed her for fees. You and I will profit, but they'll both be left with a whole lot less.
Dude, have you ever had a client?
People do not say that. So what this lawyer is saying is not false in the sense that for litigation, we charge by the hour. Because the work is very open-ended, you don't know how long a case will run for. So if both sides keep fighting and everything drags out, the lawyers do win in the sense that they collect more and more fees.
There is an ethical obligation, though, to disincentivize people from fighting. And I think, you do see some lawyers and some firms actually that kind of incentivize more and more dispute to make more money, which is a bit of a shame. M&A and transactions is a little bit different because usually now things are quoted as fixed fee packages. So if you just get the deal done, you get paid a certain amount, and there's no real incentive to drag out negotiations for any protracted period of time.
I read somewhere, I think it was in the Journal, that Suncorp and Min Enterprises are still in process.
Yes, it's typical for some of these large deals to take some time.
Min has some cutting-edge developments. Lassiter has always seemed so old school.
Don't let the cowboy boots fool you.
He's quite a character, right?
Cowboy Santa, that's what we call him here.
What's he really like?
One more little question for you.
By all means.
It's a priority that we acquire and invest in companies that are socially conscious.
Our next step is to get into green technology.
Lacey holds us accountable. She's an environmental activist.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
But we want to make sure that you don't have any conflicts of interest with any other clients in the firm.
As far as conflicts of interest, I don't think we...
We do work with clients in the green tech sector. If that's an area in which you're looking for representation, we'd be happy to collect more information and run a conflict check on our end.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Once you send us that list, we can get back to you in a day or two.
The hell was that? We had them on the hook. You know Ted Lassiter's shelving green tech. We don't have any other conflicts in green energy.
Okay, remember the company that's trying to create a voting block in Suncorp by buying shares anonymously and getting proxy votes?
New Leaf.
I kept wondering how they were getting in touch with so many shareholders.
That's Nella. How did you...
She was taking notes in shorthand, and this is the only other time I've encountered that name. If you were New Leaf, how would you get the money to buy all the voting shares?
I'd find someone with lots of cash who cared about the Earth. Check.
And the final piece, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Where have we heard that before? The New Leaf mission statement.
The New Leaf.
We were being played, pumped for information. We didn't give anything away, did we?
No. No, you interrupted me before I stuck my foot in it.
I think it's worth mentioning that you wouldn't divulge client information at a meeting unless you were incredibly amateur. I mean, that's against all of your professional obligations, right? I mean, even if you were to run conflicts checks to see if there was a conflict of interest, you would just say, look, there might be a potential conflict, but you wouldn't give information about an ongoing matter. I mean, it's not really something that would really happen. So I think if these guys were looking for information and they asked about, what Ted Lassiter's like and all this kind of stuff in the meeting.
I think that should have really rung an alarm bell already that something is up. And I think it's really unbelievable that someone so senior as a 6-year wouldn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
Shall we go inside? Mom, Dad, this is Marty Adler,
Hello.
managing partner at Parsons Valentine.
Oh, it's very nice meeting you. It's my pleasure to meet you. Welcome. Welcome to you.
Hello.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's my pleasure. Nick, it's always good to see you.
Likewise. Word on the street is that Larry...
Oh, there it is. I knew it, dude.
I was about to say, you see the dollar signs in his eyes.
Yeah. He knows we're the best in town, right?
I'll be sure to remind him.
Please excuse me. Nice to see you.
I didn't want any of this. I'm committee chair of the bullshit parade.
I didn't realize you felt this way. You could have just said no.
Nick, that's what you don't understand. I don't know how to say no. I think I need some time.
What do you mean?
I'm gonna stay at my place tonight.
Wish that he could fill me up so that morning pulls me from the deep.
Ingrid Yoon?
Yes. Can I help you?
You're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
What?
What? Do one more?
Yeah, that's kind of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, let's do
Can we
one
take
more.
a break, though?
Do you know how long it takes to cook a turkey? I got a 25-pound bird at home. And here I am with Ingrid Young, diamond thief. Does that look familiar? How about the document you forged? Maybe this will jog your memory. You ready to talk?
Yes. To my lawyer.
Thank you.
Oh, God. Why? Okay.
Okay, this is like...
He's not a criminal lawyer.
Yeah.
I mean, you would get a criminal lawyer in circumstances like this. Obviously, again, it's a show, we get it, but you would not call someone who is not a criminal lawyer to come to the police station because they're not going to be familiar with the process. They're not going to know how to advise you on what you can and cannot say or should or should not say. It's better to have a lawyer than no lawyer at all, but also worth mentioning, Murphy's from the UK. So he's not even a US lawyer, and he's being brought in. It doesn't really make sense. And I think they ask you for identification as well. So even if we assume that he took the New York bar, it's just, there's at least a couple layers here where it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you need to be a licensed lawyer in that jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm. All the charges against you have been dropped.
What?
I had them compare your fingerprints to the thief's. Any decent pawnbroker takes fingerprints on a large ticket item.
Thank you for coming and for clearing my name.
Should we get you a cab? The pub's open in an hour.
Right. How could I forget your big Thanksgiving Day plans?
Don't make fun, okay? England versus Wales in the Rugby World Cup qualifiers, that's a big deal.
Well, I'm off to New Jersey. My parents are hosting a big Thanksgiving party.
Fuck.
What?
Lassiter's moving the signing up to Monday, as in 72 hours from now.
Why?
Okay, the PTSD is real. This has happened on a number of deals, and I think a lot of times clients just kind of set an arbitrary deadline. Sometimes they push that deadline up. More often than not, we find it difficult to meet these deadlines if there's still a lot of negotiation to be done. But it definitely is a thing where a client will just sort of be like, we want to sign on this date. And we'll sometimes ask, does it have to be this date? Like, are we 100% sure? And they'll always come up with some reason. But yeah, this is something that happens a lot. And especially around the holidays, yeah.
Realistic, sadly.
Mm-hmm. Worth saying that there is sometimes good reason, but not always, yeah.
Can you keep this between us?
You're about to use Marty's private bathroom? Sure.
Yes. And that you got me out of jail? No sense in disclosing a false arrest 2 weeks away from partner announcements?
Person's arrest record's their own business. There's a towel in here and some clean clothes.
Thanks. Oh, the plan. Okay, you set up our call with Marty. After that, we run our red lines.
Review our final signing documents against the Mins to make sure nothing's altered.
Then you're off to the pub, and I catch the train home. Perfect.
Okay. If they're already at the final stage of the documents, ready to be signed, and they're just checking to see if there are any changes between the version they've been sent and the version that they've prepared, I think she'd probably have time to go home and take a shower. I mean, 72 hours to basically finalize documents that are probably already agreed is really actually quite comfortable. It's only when there are outstanding issues in the last 72 hours that you're really stressing. Now, what often does happen is that last minute issues come up, and this is kind of a very regular occurrence. So I think it is important to sort of be on standby and understand that things can change at any time. But in terms of where they're at right now, I think Ingrid probably had time to go home and have a shower.
Another late night at the office, Yun?
You know it.
Yeah, well, you just missed Ted.
Apparently he has a bird to kill.
A bird to kill and a deal to close?
He's anxious about New Leaf gaining traction with shareholders and forcing his hand on renewable energy requirements. He wants this closed well in advance of the shareholder meeting, so we're going to close the fucker now. The Mins couriered over hard copies of their final signing document last night.
Understood. We're on it.
If you two expect to make partner next month, it's time to think like a partner.
Of course.
Oh, one more thing. The redlining software is down, so you'll be manually checking Mins
No
hard copy
way.
against our latest read.
Okay. Okay. This is super unrealistic, right? So there's a couple things here that are just plain wrong. So what they're suggesting is that the other side has couriered physical documents, which are signing documents, right? That's not how these things work. Generally speaking, it's agreed via email. You get the form of the document agreed on the computer because you need redline software to basically check that the document is correct, right? From both people's perspectives. And once people agree on what is the final form, then you kind of just trust the lawyers to print the correct version on the signing day, and that's what the parties sign.
Say it's down for your office, but a firm of the size would definitely have document production somewhere else, right?
100%, yeah. So they could just send the document to another office that happens to be online. I think, for my firm, we had 24-hour document production services out of the UK.
Same here.
You definitely have someone to do this for you, and there's no way firm-wide you don't have any redlining software. I mean, you'd basically just be out of business, right? Also, actually, Microsoft Word has this built in, so...
That's exactly what I was thinking. As a backup, you can, unless Microsoft Word doesn't work, you can always use Microsoft Word.
Yeah, it's not as good as the stuff that law firms use, but it still works. So there's no way you would do it ever by just like never. This has never happened.
He's testing us, giving us an impossible task on a holiday.
A test I'm gonna pass. If making partner means reviewing hundreds of pages, so be it.
What about Thanksgiving?
As long as there's no discrepancies, I should still make it in time for Thanksgiving dinner.
Worth mentioning too, there's no way a partner would give this to an associate as a test. I mean, this is still billable work. It's not like you'd be better at making partner because you're good at hand checking documents. I mean, this is a task that would, if it had to be done for whatever reason, it would often be passed to a junior. But again, everything here seems to be done by the senior associates for some reason. And you probably wouldn't need two people to do this.
Funny that you didn't call Nick.
Funny you weren't spending the day with Victoria.
I take it back, actually. If there are this number of documents, they'd probably have more people. So again, they'd have juniors. Like Justin would probably have to come in and do this as well.
Yeah.
Like this is probably the least accurate thing we've seen on the show so far.
Yeah, I mean, again, like we talked about before, if it's such a big deal, it's going to be really important. So the firm will be pulling like all the resources it can to close everything.
Yeah.
What in the world are you doing?
I'm proofing, overlaying our copy with the Mins to make sure they match.
That's smart.
Plus, I'm worried about our health. The night before the GCSEs, I went cross-eyed trying to learn the Scottish play in one go.
Scottish play? Oh, Macbeth. That's it.
As much as I love the bard, I'm not sure now's the time.
No, I mean performing the documents. You know Harold Rosenstein? I heard that back in the day, he would review final signing documents by performing them. I don't have your posh accent, but here I go. Seller has maintained the carrying out of regular penetration testing on IT assets.
Other than as set forth in this section, no other representation or warranty shall be deemed to be made in respect of intellectual property matters.
Sellers will indemnify.
Sorry, I think this part is the most inaccurate.
That arise from any breach by target of any representation or warranty, excluding consequential damages.
Wait, excluding consequential damages? That's not in the original copy.
The men snuck it in.
With who knows what else?
We can sort this out.
Yeah, but not in the next 3 hours.
Yeah, so, okay, as we mentioned, there are often these last minute things that come up that can cause negotiations to run on for even longer. It's a bit rare, though, for people to sneak things into documents last minute. Usually when that happens, it's a mistake. People aren't really trying to sort of sneak things in. They might have just used an older version of the document where something was deleted. And again, it's sort of fraudulent to do that. And so when that has happened before, at least from what I've seen, it's usually a mistake. We catch it, we point it out, and we kind of, we posture a bit and we say like, why is this back in kind of thing? And usually people are just like, yeah, it was a mistake, But this is why it's important to check.
The men's added a to the best of our knowledge clause. Cheeky bastards.
They would. Okay, this is a good one. So I love this actually. So if you're the seller of the company, you are in a position where you need to make representations and warranties. We've talked about these on this series before, but it's basically stating things like, our company has never been sued, our company has never had any regulatory investigations or things like that. When you're on the seller side, you always want to include the language of to the best of our knowledge, because then if one of those things ends up being untrue, but you didn't know about it, you're kind of off the hook. On the buyer side, you always want to push against that because you don't want it to be subject to a knowledge qualifier. You want it to be an absolute statement to say this has never happened, and therefore if it ever does come out that such a thing happened, then the sellers are on the hook for it.
We've reviewed everything.
The only discrepancies I can find between our copies and the MIN's is that knowledge qualifier and the consequential damages exclusion.
They're hiding something.
You want to call Marty?
No, think like a partner. Remember? Calling the general counsel. Carter, hi, it's...
Ingrid, hi. It's Z.
Oh, hi. Happy Thanksgiving.
Are you calling to wish Carter a happy holiday, or is this about the merger?
The merger.
Well, he has had one too many ciders. I'll have him give you a call back. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Ingrid.
Ingrid, if there's water leaking out of Marty's office, I think you broke his shower.
It's Carter. Which one of these is speaker?
I don't know.
Carter!
Harvard!
We noticed some updates to the deal.
Oh yeah? Pop's added those.
How thoughtful. But no. I want you to remove the knowledge qualifier and exclusion of consequential damages.
I can't. What Franklin Lynn does cannot be undone. Dad doesn't trust little bro. Changes are to protect against Green Tech's innovative choices. Oh, snap. I gotta go. Sorry I can't help you, Harvard. Happy Thanksgiving, though.
Wait, if all they're worried about is Green Tech, I mean, Ted wants to kill that anyway. Okay, we'll let you carve out consequentials for Z's Green Tech division, but only Green Tech. The rest stays on the hook as agreed. And I'll let you keep the knowledge qualifier.
Interesting. I'll have to run it by my people.
It's now or never, Dartmouth. Take your Turkeys, 2.9 billion, goodbye.
Deal. We'll work out the details
Okay.
Monday.
This is not... Okay, this isn't how it works, right? So if you're going to make a change to basically the commercial agreement, which is effectively what's happening here, you would have to run it by your client first. So she'd have to talk to Ted. This is not an issue of not bothering Marty or thinking like a partner. You'd have to ask the client before you can put that out there. Again, I think the dramatization here is that, it makes it look like lawyers have more control over what's agreed, but in reality, we're sort of there just to advise the client and tell the client, this is what this means. This is why, this is what will happen if you agree to their terms. This is what we think you should push for. But ultimately, the client has to be the one making that decision. Also, threatening to pull the deal is something that a lawyer should absolutely not do unless the client says so. Because if he calls the bluff and just says, yeah, no, we're not doing the deal, the client's going to be real upset. And I don't think Parsons Valentine will get paid.
I think something that they also don't show in the show is that a lot of times when these things happen, someone should be taking notes, keeping a record, and then even if there's changes like this, you would want to have written record, like back and forth with the client, with the other side in emails, and then you keep those just in case something happens down the road.
Yeah. That's the litigator speaking.
Yes, I'm always thinking about what can go wrong.
Yeah.
You're gonna be partner.
Say it again.
You're gonna be partner.
Kiss me.
Oh, yeah, no, dude.
Are they doing it in Marty's office?
I guess. Conference room?
I think we need more chips.
Grab some water, too. Nick?
Okay.
doing here?
We're done.
A quick technicality. It wouldn't be possible for Nick to get into the back office of a law firm without a key card, and usually a lawyer is not issued multiple key cards.
Yeah.
So Ingrid technically would have had to go let him in.
Yeah.
Nick, wait. I'm so sorry.
I think I had this hope that you would actually fight for us. Good luck, Ingrid.
The saddest part is that he brought her some food too. That hurts. I feel like that's
Yeah. So as you might have heard, this show has been canceled, so there won't be any season 2, but we really appreciate how much you guys have been liking the series and how much you've, I guess, just cheered us on to keep doing it, because we honestly did not really think at first that we would do the whole series.
Yeah.
So we are definitely going to round this out and do all 10 episodes.
Yeah. Thank you guys all for the support, and we'll catch you in the next one.